annual watchmakers convention in Switzerland in the late 1960s, a new kind of watch was displayed. This watch had no springs, it had no gears. The large and big watchmakers like Bulova and Timex and Rolex and Omega and all of the rest of that crowd walked up, took a look at this watch, and they said, it doesn't have any springs, it doesn't have any gears, this isn't a watch, and they walked away. A company by the name of Texas Instruments walked up, saw the watch, took one look, left, came back here to Dallas, and they changed the watch business forever. Electronic watches, no gears, no springs. This story is related in a video that was very popular in the 1980s by a futurist by the name of Joel Barker, and the name of the video was The Business of Paradigms. And the question is, what's a paradigm? Why do we concern ourselves with the future? And that is what Daniel Burrus, who wrote the Anticipatory Organization, is going to help us with this morning. But Burrus says, hey, a decade and a half after Barker, Apple had a lagging PC business. It had been crushed by IBM computers and Dell and the rest of them. But Apple ended up in that time frame of coming up with a better Sony Walkman, and they called it the iPod. 6 years later, Apple then pulled together several existing technologies. Nothing that was new, really, but they were out there. They pulled them together and created the smartphone, the iPhone, in 2007, which blew away the Walkman. It blew away their own iPod, everyone's flip phones, killed the camera business, moved into video, and began the downfall of Dell computers, Nokia, Ericsson, and Motorola. This is why we need to pay attention to the future. Burrus notes that organizations lock themselves into a focus and a future of continuous improvement and operations efficiency, and that blinds them from even considering other possibilities. And the question is, why is this book worth our time? It's worth our time because Burrus mixes trends, techniques to be what the future is going to be. And he says, if you understand how you can look into the future, and he truly believes you can look into the future, realize and find certainty in what we think is an uncertain world, you can provide a big advantage to yourself and your organizations. Burrus also shows us that the future is far more certain than we realize. And finding certainty in an uncertain world provides a big advantage for those who know how and when and where to look for it. Specifically, you're going to learn techniques of separating hard trends from soft trends, be able to anticipate disruptions, problems, and game-changing opportunities, pinpoint and act upon enormous opportunities. What are some lessons and takeaways? Number one, from Burrus, he says, you can see into the future. And last of all, number 6, and it comes back to this, he says, the future is all about human relationships. I said a moment ago, there is a lot more in this book about the anticipatory model and how it can be used and how you can contact him and use his services to learn about that model. But I'm going to leave that to you to read, or if you win the book, you can go through that. The book really has two themes. Burris and Anticipating the Future, and it's lots of good stuff. And Burris on how to learn more about his approach to anticipating the future. More like, in some respects, the endless number of emails that I get on Watch This Webinar each day. Burris, in conclusion, Burris is all about the future and wants all of us to join him in anticipating our organizations and our people's future. Thank you.